So you are obviously studying English using YouTube, but we all know that face-to-face lessons or even online lessons are better, right? To be face-to-face with a teacher. But I hate to say this, even those aren't magic. You still have to learn to be a good student to get the most out of your lessons. And I've looked online, there are a lot of great tips for teachers, and those are good and important, but there aren't so many tips for being a good student. How can you go into a lesson with a teacher, whether it's a group or individual, and get the most out of your lesson? If you're a student, you need to bring your tools with you into the lesson, and I'm going to give you some of those today. I'm Phil from Mayak in the Czech Republic. I've been a teacher for a long time, but I've also studied language for a long time too, and I want to share with you a few tips to help you be a better student. First, there are a couple of tools to consider before even choosing a set of lessons or a teacher. You want to consider, is this person a teacher or is it a language helper? And both are important. I would say a teacher is somebody who has studied education and teaching and knows how to present information maybe in a systematic way or knows more tools to give you. A language helper is a local person who speaks that language natively and can help you with conversation and things like that. You don't necessarily want to ask a language teacher specific grammar questions. You could, but they might not give you the answers that a teacher would give you. So both are important, but it's important to know who is going to teach me? Who's going to help me learn this language? Second, don't commit to a bunch of lessons with a teacher or a language helper before knowing if it works together, before you click. It's really important that a teacher and student, whether it's a group or just individual lessons, that you get along and it's going to work out in this set of lessons. At least ask for and see if it's possible to have a trial lesson to see if this is going to work out before we go forward and pay for a whole bunch of lessons. But you have to commit sometime. I think around 10 lessons is a good commitment size. It's not forever. It's not even the size of a whole semester. It's just a little chunk. And so if you can commit to 10 lessons, even if you're not quite sure, at the end of that 10 lessons, you can make a decision if you want to continue or not. Number 2 tip is mindset. You have to have a positive mindset. Be positive about language learning, just the concept of that. Be positive about your class and your teacher. If you don't think you're in exactly the right level, but you're in this group, if you continually say, I'm not getting anything out of this, this is a bad lesson, I'm not going to be any better at the end of this. If you think that all the way through, even just 10 lessons, it's going to be a really frustrating time. But if you can be positive and take some of the tools we're going to use today and bring them into your lesson, I think you'll find that even a not great situation can turn out well, but you have to be positive. My third tip is know what you don't know. That sounds kind of weird, but you have to know what you don't know. You don't have to know the thing, but you have to know what's missing in your language learning. Are you missing some important grammar parts, grammar pieces that you should have known a long time ago, but you just don't get them? Or maybe you're missing vocabulary in a conversation, you just are stuck, you don't have enough words. Or maybe you're missing some cultural knowledge in the place that you're living. Like, that's part of language as well, like knowing how to use this language in the culture and what it means. So think about what you're missing in your language development and bring that to your teacher. My fourth tip is know how you want to learn. Know how you want to learn. For this, I would think about, do you learn well with textbooks? Or maybe you enjoy reading articles, a little more real stuff from the real world. Maybe you would enjoy podcasts or videos. That also brings in a cultural element as well. Now again, you're working with a teacher or a language helper, so they're going to bring some of their personality too, but you're the student. This is for you. So think about some ways that you would like to learn. Maybe it's a way that you haven't learned very much before. Maybe you've only spoken with people and haven't really used a textbook. So maybe it's time to try that. Tip number 5 is incorporate your private English learning into your language class, whether it's a class or individual. Maybe there are ways to share the things that you've been learning at home on your own and make it public. For example, maybe you have a radio show that you listen to in English. Maybe you listen to some different English podcasts. Maybe you actually read in English for work. Maybe it's technical reading. Any of these things, even TV shows that you watch, while you're watching at home, write down some questions or some thoughts or just a conversation starter that you could bring up with other students or your teacher in your class to bring that private language learning into a corporate setting. So you're working on it together and you're actually interacting with another human, not just your TV or your earphones or however you get this information. Bring it into the real people place of your class and see if that helps you grow a bit. Number 6 is think of creative ways to learn. This is for in class and also outside of class, but it helps you grow. And I'm thinking, what do you like to do? If you like to cook, try using an English recipe. Maybe you like to play board games or video games, and there's an English element to that, so use that English element. I love journaling. I have journaled for years and years and years, and it's a great activity just to process my thoughts. But what if you were journaling even a short bit in English? Tip number 7, think of some really practical things that you need to know or you want to know about living in the culture you live in that are in another language. For example, have you tried to order something over the phone, whether it's a pizza or a car part or whatever, and you've talked on the phone, but you're not sure if the words that you're saying are the best ones, the best phrases to use? Bring that to your teacher. I have a funny situation living here in the Czech Republic. It's a silly thing, but when I'm out with my friends, how do I ask where the restroom is? I need to use the bathroom. What's the best way to do it? Sure, I can do it, but with different groups of people, what's the most appropriate way to say that? I think that's really important. They're silly things, they're crazy things, but we need to bring these to our teacher. They can help us. They can give us the right phrases to say, and we'll be able to use these things as soon as we can. Okay, number 8 is having good communication with your teacher. And actually, that also involves getting to know your teacher on a more personal level. I love teaching English, whether it's in a group or individual lessons, but I'll tell you, my best lessons are the ones where it almost feels like I'm meeting with a friend. There's still a level of professionalism with my English classes, but if we know each other, we've had lots of conversations in English, me as a teacher and my student, we can talk together about deeper things, and I think that's really important. These are also lessons where the student can feel more comfortable asking weird questions like, how do I say, where is the bathroom in this language? They feel more comfortable doing that when they get to know the teacher. So get to know your teacher. I'll take a break just for a second to let you have the opportunity to write some comments down about what your experiences are with one-on-one lessons. Have you tried any tricks that are really good and it's helped you get a little bit more out of your lessons? If so, please write in the comments so we can learn from you. Okay, we have 2 left. So tip number 9 is think about when you would like to be corrected in your lessons. Teachers have different ways of doing this. Some teachers like to make sure they correct each mistake. Some teachers wait. How do you feel about it? I think you're an important one too. I think it's nice to give students the ability to finish their sentences in the conversation and correct some of the grammar mistakes later. But how about you? Think that through. Think about when and how often you'd like your teacher to stop you during the lesson and correct things. Or would you like it just at the end? How would you like that feedback given to you, and what will be most effective for you? And finally, number 10, obviously, study at home. Don't let your English lesson be the only place that you are practicing. If it is, you're probably not going to improve that much because this teacher and this little hour or hour and a half can only do so much for you. But study at home. We've listed quite a few ways that you could do that. So take the time to study in a variety of ways and then bring that into your lesson so it all comes together. I hope you got a lot out of this video. I know it wasn't about grammar or vocabulary and different things like that. It's just about being a student, but it's really important. So hopefully these 10 little points that I gave you are things you can incorporate even today and this week and bring them into your lessons to help you level up your English a bit. Thanks for joining.